All right, good evening, everyone. It's 6:01. We're going to go ahead and start tonight's meeting. Let's please take roll.
Commissioner Lyday.
Present.
Commissioner Calandra. Commissioner Diaz.
Here.
Commissioner Kreiner. Commissioner Shergill. Vice Chair Bray. Chair Vang.
Here. Thank you. Let's go ahead and everyone, please stand. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Please note that Commissioner Shergill is present too. I'll go ahead and read the procedures for tonight's meeting. This meeting is being conducted in person and electronically. For each matter considered by the Commission, there will first be a staff presentation, followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Testimony from supporters of the project would then be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. The applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to closing the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing length of public debate, all public testimony from those in support and opposition to the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The three lights on the podium next to the microphone will indicate the amount of time remaining for the speaker. The green light will be turned on when the speaker begins. The yellow light will come on with a soft bell ring when 1 minute is remaining. The speaker should be completing the testimony by the time the red light comes on, with the final bell indicating time has expired. All in-person public testimony must be presented to the Commission at the podium. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner should be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the Commission in making its land use determinations. If you challenge these land use matters in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised in oral or written testimony or before the close of the hearing. We'll start with the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Good evening, Chair Vang, Commissioners. Philip Segrist, Planning and Development Department. Staff has no changes to tonight's agenda.
Awesome. Thank you. Do we have any comments or motion from the Commission for the agenda? We have a motion by Commissioner Diaz to accept and approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Day. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion's approved. So we don't have anything under the consent calendar. Do we have any reports from the Commission? I see none. We'll move to new matters. First new matter is item ID 1229, consideration of an update to Planning Commission rules and regulations regarding submission of documents. And please note too, with this matter right here, the Commission, we're just going to hear it for tonight, and we won't be able to vote on it until the next meeting. Okay?
Okay. Good evening, Chair Vang and Commissioners. Ashley Atkinson, Assistant Director for Planning and Development. We do not have a visual presentation for you for this item because it's a very simple and straightforward update to the bylaws. This is something that is being recommended by staff in order to allow us to prepare adequately for your meetings. Simply adjusting the deadline for submission of documents for the Commission's consideration. The current deadline, as noted in the bylaws, if you'd like to look at the exhibit, that's in Article 4, which is on page 9. The current deadline is 24 hours prior to the commencement of the Commission meeting, and we are proposing to change that to 4:00 p.m. on the day prior to the commencement of the Commission meeting. This is really just a change then of a couple hours, and we're recommending that change because we've had some issues when we get documents past that time. The clerk's offices close at 5, and we have difficulty processing any documents submitted at that last minute for inclusion in the record. So we'd just like to propose moving that deadline up to 4 p.m. and that is the extent of the change being proposed at this time. So with that, I can take any questions that you have, and if not, as Chair Vang noted, you will be actually voting on this item at the next meeting.
Thank you. Questions? Go ahead.
Is just 1 hour before closing enough time? I mean, would it be better at 3?
It is enough time. We do have staff constantly monitoring that inbox. I think the difficulty that we have is when things show up at 5 p.m. or later and we don't see them until the next day. But 4 p.m. should be enough time for us to catch anything that comes in the day prior.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to go ahead and open this to the public. Do we have any individuals who would like to speak in regards to this matter? I see none. We're going to go ahead and bring it back to, well, we're not going to bring it back to commission. But any final questions or comments for staff? All right, perfect. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. This is item ID 251226. This is going to be a workshop for basics of parking requirements.
Good evening, Chair Vang, Commissioners. Chris Lang from the Planning and Development Department, and have a presentation, just overview of municipal code parking requirements. So the Fresno General Plan promotes multimodal transit, and this is supported by several goals and policies. Goal 10 emphasizes increased land use intensity and mixed-use development, and in densities supportive of greater use of transit in Fresno. And then Goal 11 is to emphasize and plan for all modes of travel on local and major streets in Fresno. Now, these goals and policies have been incorporated into the parking, or Article 14 of the Municipal Code. New development or uses typically require on-site parking, which can be provided by either surface parking or structured parking. The Development Code provides the minimum number of parking spaces required for various use types. These are grouped into downtown districts, typically the areas between Divisadero, Highway 99, and 41, mixed-use districts, as well as commercial Main Street, and then all other districts such as residential, commercial, employment, not within either downtown or mixed use. The purpose of the parking guidelines are to minimize design impacts that result from parking lots, driveways, and drive aisles within parking lots, offer flexible means of minimizing the amount of area devoted to vehicle parking by allowing a number of reductions of required spaces based on transit, served locations, shared parking facilities, and other situations where there might be lower parking demand. Another one of the purposes is to require that parking areas are designed to reduce potential environmental impacts, including stormwater runoff and heat island effect. Ensure that parking is provided for new land uses and alterations to existing uses to avoid for negative impacts associated with the spillover into adjacent neighborhoods. Also to ensure that adequate off-street bicycle facilities are provided and to promote parking lot designs that offer safe and attractive pedestrian routes. Another goal is to establish standards and regulations of any specific use occurring outdoors or within an existing newly constructed or relocated building to provide well-designed on-site parking areas. Also, it's designed to provide loading and delivery facilities in proportion to the proposed uses. Parking within the downtown districts, here's a table which I believe you were provided, the parking tables. In the downtown districts, residential uses require half a space per unit, and then non-residential uses, that's going to be office, retail, restaurant, any other ones, there's no parking required in the downtown districts. Within the mixed use and commercial Main Street districts, residential uses require for studios 0.7 spaces per unit, For 2 bedrooms, 1 space per unit, and for 3 or more bedrooms, 1.5 spaces per unit. And then additionally, per every 4 units, visitor parking is required. For non-residential uses within the mixed-use districts, only 1 space per 600 square feet of floor area is required. And then also note that on-street parking along a project or property's frontage can be counted toward required parking within mixed-use projects. Then there are the other, pretty much all other districts, again, residential, other commercial, employment, transportation, utilities. Those have, each use has, is contained within the table, which again, it's several pages long. You've been provided that, so I'm not going to go through that entire table up here. Okay. Again, other parking requirements, bicycle parking. Projects are required to provide short-term for shoppers, customers, messengers, and guests who generally stay for less than 2 hours. And then also required to provide long-term parking for employees, students, residents, commuters who will stay on site for more than 2 hours. And again, projects are also required to provide loading whenever there's something for receipt or distribution of vehicles or trucks or material merchandise, loading spaces are required. Now we're going to get into parking exceptions and reductions. So there are several sections up here in which parking would not be required or accepted from the requirements. In this case, buildings constructed prior to February of 1954. Also, buildings which are 30 years or older, if they meet specific requirements, including that the new parking area would not be reduced, and the new use does not involve convenience stores less than 3,000 square feet, schools, drive-through restaurants, banquet halls, religious assemblies, or auto-related uses. Small commercial uses are not required to provide parking if they're less than 1,000 square feet in floor area, and this includes retail sales, personal services, eating and drinking establishments, and offices. Moving on to parking reductions, there are several ways that parking requirements can be reduced. One of them is through affordable housing. Whenever a project proposes a certain percentage of units to be affordable, they are granted incentives and concessions, and one of those incentives can be used to reduce parking requirements. The standard reduction is going to be half a space for studio units, 3/4 of a space for 1 or 2 bedroom units, 1 space for 3 or more bedrooms, and then any guest parking spaces per the underlying zone district. Another reduction is going to be transit accessibility. Any portion of a property that's located within a 1/4 mile of a transit stop with a 15-minute or less frequency during the hours of 7 to 9 and then 5 to 7, the number of spaces can be reduced by 30%. As you can see on that map, there are currently 4 bus lines within Fresno which provide that level of service, 15 minutes or less. So any bus stop along those routes, any project within a 1/4 of a mile from there can have the reduction would apply. Also recently passed was AB 2097, which states that public agency may not impose a minimum parking requirement on any residential, commercial, or other development project that is located within half a mile of a major transit stop. In this case, the definition of a major transit stop is the intersection of 2 major bus routes with a frequency of service of 50 minutes or less, or major transit stops that are included in the regional transportation plan. As you hopefully can see on the map, those circles along the 4 15-minute or less bus routes indicate areas that are within the AB 2097 area. Within those circles, they would be exempt from parking. But there are exceptions, specifically event centers, hotels, motels, transient lodging, and bed and breakfasts. Okay, then finally, there are several other options to reduce parking. Planned development may reduce parking by up to 20%, but that can't be combined with any other reductions. There are the opportunities to have shared parking facilities serving more than one use, and those can reduce the required spaces by up to 50%. And then off-site parking for non-residential uses can be provided with a conditional use permit. Again, for all these uses, there's, going further into it, there are findings or requirements that need to be satisfied to comply. Next, we're going to get into actual design of parking lots. So throughout all zone districts, no parking spaces are allowed to be, or permitted to be located within the front and side street setback areas. In single unit districts, parking cannot be located within required setbacks with the exception of the rear yard. So detached garage, that would be permitted if it's within the rear yard setback. Single unit districts, vehicles may park on driveways, but those do not count toward the required parking. And all single family or single unit districts are also required to provide one covered parking space. I'm just going to get into other districts as well. Hopefully the diagrams show up all right, but again, parking is not permitted within the, or not allowed within the front side yard setbacks. Then these are additional setbacks for, in this case, the RM zone districts. They need to be 30 feet back from the sidewalk or curb. The same goes for mixed use districts. Setback needs to be 30 feet from sidewalk or curb. In commercial districts, only the CMS or commercial Main Street, that requires the 30 feet from back of sidewalk or curb. Then the other districts, community commercial, regional, general, there's no minimum parking setback for those. Employment districts, office, business park, and regional business park have a 15-foot setback. And then light and heavy industrial, there's no additional parking setback outside from required setbacks. Downtown districts, again, it's 30 feet from back of the sidewalk or curb, and typically these must be located behind a building. And there are exceptions when these aren't steadfast. There are exceptions where if you have substandard lots or narrow lots where it might not be feasible to provide this, there are alternative designs, but that's a lot to get into. Parking lot landscaping and shading. Heat island reduction, or heat island is the increase in ambient temperature that occurs over large paved areas compared to natural landscape. And parking lots are required to provide 50% of areas not landscape need to be shaded. This shading can be provided by solar shade structures, trees, or any other equivalent mechanism. And this requirement does not apply to RS districts and also truck loading and truck parking areas within employment districts. All right. That concludes my, wait, no, sorry, I think I'm missing a slide. Oh, okay, here we go. Excuse me. So parking areas adjacent to public streets, they're required to provide a landscape planting strip equivalent to the setback for the subject zoning district. And then landscaping is required to screen cars from the street for a height of 24 to 36 inches. And then screening may include a combination of plant materials, earth berms, walls, other screening devices. And then finally, you've also received a copy of this. This is the City of Fresno Parking Manual. All parking lots need to comply with this. This was adopted in 1987, and it provides all the parking lot dimension requirements as well as design criteria. Drive approaches, standard backup distance, circulation, turning details, lighting, landscaping. Everything additionally is included in this. That's not mentioned in the municipal code. This concludes my presentation, but I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Have any questions? Go ahead.
Thank you. A couple questions. One on the shading. What kind of enforcement is there when a commercial property owner goes in and takes out all the trees and then puts up sticks that don't provide that, like palm trees or something, that don't provide that 50% shading?
Mm-hmm. So whenever a development is approved, it's with an entitlement, and parking lot shading is a requirement of that entitlement. So theoretically, if they're required to provide that 50% shading, and they meet that, and they remove those trees that provide the shading, they would technically not be in compliance with their development permit and would need to either submit a revised exhibit to get that changed or replace the shading.
Okay, because I've seen that in a number of places.
So if you see something and you think that it is a violation of their entitlement, you need to submit a code enforcement complaint through Fresno, and they will do the research. They will notify the property owner. They have a certain period of time to comply. And then if they don't comply, they can be fined, and ultimately they can have their entitlement revoked. So any violation of an entitlement, it's a land use right that is granted by the city. It can be revoked if they don't comply. And the way that we know about it is if someone complains, right?
I mean, when you take, the time to go shop somewhere and you're looking for shade and it's supposed to be 50% shaded and there is no shade, it's, it is annoying.
And each project would be dependent upon when it was approved. So if something was approved in 2002, it might have a different requirement than if it was approved in 2016, right? So each individual land use entitlement has the rules that go with it.
Right.
And that's what it would have to conform to, not necessarily what today's standards are.
Okay, when did today's standard of 50% come into being?
2016.
Built in the 70s.
Yeah. So again, we would go back to whatever their entitlement was, right? What were they required to do as a condition of approval? And if they're not abiding by that, they would have to come into compliance or face the penalties.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
My other question has to do with when something goes in, a new development goes in, and they have certain requirements that they're, apparently thinking that will work for them, but they don't. And then you have that the parking overage goes into the residential neighborhoods nearby. Is there anything that residents can do to prevent that, or to make it a little more palatable, that it doesn't happen every weekend?
I would say it would depend on the use. So if, say, a use were to move into a location that, requires a conditional use permit, or, it's a more intensive use than what was previously approved and would trigger additional parking requirements, they'd be required to get entitlement. And that entitlement would typically, we'd look at it and determine if they meet the parking minimums. Now, if there's a use that, say, it meets the minimums, but then it, spills into, residential districts, I think the next question would be, are there, areas which are designated as no parking, or, are they, I suppose, impeding traffic flow in the neighborhood?
So, yeah, so those are really great points. And I would add that public streets, any person can park on a public street. It's not limited to the people who live in that neighborhood. It's not limited to the businesses that are in that neighborhood. It is a public street. So unless there is a safety-related reason to limit parking, I will say that in the last year, the state of California adopted what's called the daylighting bill. And actually our parking manager is at a district meeting tonight talking about the daylighting bill. No one in the state of California can park within 20 feet of an intersection or a pedestrian crosswalk. So we're not going to go through the city and paint red curbs throughout the city. We are giving people notices, warning, right? Ultimately, the city will begin citations. It's the same as parking in front of a fire hydrant, right? The public knows you can't park on 10 feet on either side or 20 feet on either side of a fire hydrant. It is just the law, right? We don't paint all of those curbs red. But this is the same thing. So if there is an intersection from the point at which the two streets come together, so usually there's a curved curb that is closer in than the point in which the two streets intersect. But 20 feet back from that intersection point, there's no parking permitted. So anyone, again, Fresno put it in, and the parking team does monitor in the evenings and on the weekends. If we have a bunch of complaints within a specific neighborhood or specific area or time of day, we can go out and monitor on a regular basis those areas. So drive through, just warning notices, letting people know not to park in that area. We also, if a neighborhood believes there is a safety concern, our traffic engineering unit of Public Works can go out and do a survey to determine if there is a need for red curbing certain areas. But again, the narrower the street, the slower the traffic. So it helps from a speeding perspective. So it's usually not a safety issue when you have parking on both sides of the street and it makes it hard for people to pass. You're less likely to have cars flying through neighborhoods. Yeah.
Go ahead.
My question is, whenever people visit downtown Fresno, parking is an issue, especially during, busy, during the day. What steps are we taking to provide public that wants to visit downtown Fresno more accessibility to park? Sometimes people have to park far away from their own destination where they need to go. Do we have any upcoming plans to make downtown more parking friendly for the regular people?
All right, I can handle that one. The city did receive a grant from the state of California and I think that might have been where you were going with this question, to build a new parking garage. We actually have 2 new parking garages that will be coming online. I can tell you that our parking garages are not 100% full every day, so please don't hesitate to park in the parking garages. But there are 2 new parking garages that are coming online. One, it will be across the street from Smart and Final. So essentially at Inyo, no, not Inyo, the next one down. I'll think of it in a minute. So across, if you think the warehouse on H Street that was demolished recently, behind that there will be a parking structure there, and then there will be an additional parking structure at Merced and Fulton Street. So the road will actually go through on Merced. Right now it does not, so we'll be putting the road through, and there will be a new parking garage and housing there as well. So there will be 2 new parking garages coming soon. Yes, the city has taken a lot of efforts to improve and upgrade its parking structures and has several $1 million of capital projects investing in its parking garages as we speak. Additionally, another enhancement is that the city is automating our parking garages. So right now in the garages, you'll see an attendant that'll be, you'll be paying for big events. You pay in advance when you go in, but if on a regular day, you're paying as you leave, right, for the number of hours you're there. So we'll be going, like most major cities, to an automated system where you come in the garage, you will pay at a kiosk, you'll be able to just drive in, park, pay at the kiosk, go to your destination, come back, drive back out again, and you won't have to worry about stopping at that booth, which will help with big events especially getting in and out of downtown. Sometimes there are big backups and delays in those parking garages, so that'll streamline that.
Yeah, the reason I also brought this up because, people feel hesitant to do events in downtown. We have, convention center, we have like so many big centers here, right? It just because of the parking, sometimes it scares the organizers. So I'm a big advocate about bringing more business to downtown. I want people to, downtown needs to flourish. People need to come to downtown. We should take pride in it. It just, it's every little step helps. So thank you. That was pretty good.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you. I appreciate it. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. This is item ID 251227. It's a workshop on West Area Neighborhood Specific Plan.
Okay. Hello, good evening, Planning Commissioners and members of the public joining us tonight in person and virtually. My name is Casey Lauderdale, and I'm a planner with the Long Range Planning Team, and I'm really excited to be here tonight because this project has been in process since 2018, and I've been its liaison since 2020. So being able to have this workshop here tonight before you and before your hearing represents a really great milestone for this plan. Tonight's workshop will take us from a high level of why we engage in these planning efforts to some finer details about the plan itself, all with the intention of providing the Commission with enough information to make a sound recommendation to the City Council. And it is also an opportunity to hear about any questions that you have. So the first part is, why do we plan? In short, we plan because if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. We plan for the outcomes that we want to achieve to help our communities thrive. And specific plans have certain benefits to them that are specific. The first is that they improve the general plan with a more fine-grained approach. By taking a smaller plan area, we can focus on it more intently, and we can get closer to the people and therefore closer to the needs. Specific plans help streamline land use and CEQA to incentivize desired projects for that area. The policies and plans can help acquire funding from private and public sources to add new investment to that area, and it can provide a foundation for community-led investment and organizing. One example of a specific plan in action is the 1991 Tower District Specific Plan, which has helped preserve Tower as a walkable neighborhood with a diversity of housing and businesses. It has helped keep Tower as we know and love it today. And actually, this plan from 1991 is currently undergoing an update, which I'm sure you have heard about or will soon. The next example is the Southwest Fresno Specific Plan. This plan was instrumental in securing $70 million in TCC grants and the location of the Fresno City College West Fresno campus. Before we get into the plan itself, let me please introduce you to the West area. As a note, I did not grow up in this area, but I have definitely gained an immense amount of love for it through this process. The plan area has a long history of settlement, including the agricultural colony of Muscatel, the historic Black community of Jamestown, and the historic community of Highway City, which is also sometimes known as Hardpan City. This is an aerial of Highway City from 1937, which predates the freeway. people from all over the world came to the West area and found a home. And that's something that persists to this day. Many of the early settlers were farmers or somehow tied to agriculture. And this connection and heritage resonates to present times as well. Ag is a constant and beloved feature of the plan area, which has given rise to suggestions to utilize this feature to support a unique sense of place for the community and to leverage ag for a more expanded economic development role in agritourism. Keeping a sense of place and community is important as this area grows tremendously. New homes are being built every day, and more people are calling the West area home. There is some tension in the growth of residential in the area that was predominantly ag and rural. Some of the interfaces between new and old can be harmonious, while others can feel more abrupt, and this is a concern that we did hear about from residents. One thing that hasn't kept up with the influx of new homes has been the roadway infrastructure, where you have many instances of roads going between city and county standards, sometimes block by block, sometimes in the middle of the block. One of the residents who responded to an early survey said that the streets look like a boa constrictors after lunch. Of course, this is hard not just for driving, but for walking and biking as well, even in places that are frequented daily, such as commercial uses or schools. Getting in and out of the West area can also be a challenge. Freeway 99, while immensely important, is often cited as a barrier because of the lack of crossings between the rest area and the rest of the city. And the railroad tracks right on the other side often do not help. Fortunately, there have been positive changes to address this issue, with Veterans Boulevard now open, and with the future high-speed rail overpass on Shaw underway now as well. Even with these steps forward, many challenges remain, with community members desiring a better pattern of development for the West area, with improved infrastructure and more access to needed amenities. Residents came together back in 2017 and 2018 to ask for the specific plan process to be initiated. And they attended numerous meetings over the course of the planning process to weigh in on the needs and the vision for the plan. To see improvements in connectivity and quality of life enhancements, such as more access to recreational opportunities and park space. To build on the existing assets in a way that serves the community. To respect and keep our agricultural heritage. And create more places where community can come together. We know that realizing this vision will take time, but this plan is one step towards putting that vision into actionable policy. So now let's talk about the plan. This is the plan area. It's generally located west of 99, north of Clinton Avenue, and east of Garfield Avenue, and it is represented by Council Districts 1, 2, and 3. The purpose of the plan is to refine the general plan for the West area, to regulate land use, and to create focused policies to address unique needs and community vision. This slide shows a few of the milestones for the planning process, including previous plans for the area. The West Area process officially was started in 2018 with the first meeting of the steering committee. The first draft went to Planning Commission in 2022, and at that time, they recommended approval. Following that time, changes were made to the plan and EIR, and fast forward to today, is ready for your consideration once again. The earlier phases of the planning process, the steering committee developed 20 guiding principles for the plan that fit under the topics of transportation, parks and trails, agriculture, retail, housing, catalytic corridors, education, and public safety. And I won't read all the principles tonight, but they can be found on page 42 of the plan. 3 chapters in the plan, chapters 1, 2, and 7, contain the introduction, which includes data and historical background information about the plan area. The planning process and community engagement chapter documents early engagement efforts that identified community assets and needs. And the glossary, of course, contains definitions for terminology used in the plan. 4 chapters of the plan contain goals and policies to enact the guiding principles, and these are the infrastructure in the public realm chapter, the public facilities chapter, and the land use and housing and implementation chapters. In the implementation chapter, there's also a multi-page table of all the goals and policies with suggested measurement criteria, and this was created as a tool for community members and decision makers to help track and advocate for its implementation. When deliberating on different land use concepts, the steering committee chose to follow a transect model of development with a special focus on the growth of vibrant catalytic corridors. This developed into a land use concept that reflected a moderate level of change from the general plan, improved urban to rural transitions, a focus on catalytic corridors with a mixed-use town center along Shaw Avenue, and a flagship regional park. Catalytic corridors, with their focused density and commercial, are intended to serve as the neighborhood hubs of the West area. And there were 6 of them identified in the plan. The vision put forward by the steering committee led to this original map that was voted on in 2019, but it is not the map that is before you now. The original map would have led to a net loss of housing capacity, and in 2020, a state law went into effect that disallows the city to reduce housing capacity without an offsetting gain happening somewhere else. That leads us to today's map, which was updated and now contains a slight gain in housing capacity, but still it retains the transect model of growth. In this updated map, the location for the potential regional park was shifted to the east and aligned with the future Herndon Canal and Power Line trails. More information on what could be featured in the park was added to the plan, and we've heard ideas from the community, such as having a learning farm, a farmer's market and food hall, a visitor center, and sports fields to host tournaments. This park is not guaranteed, but we hope that we can work towards making it a reality. So moving on to outreach and engagement. Outreach for the plan took shape in many forms. It included email, direct mail, flyers, specific plans to go, tabling events, social media, radio announcements, and also web pages, legal notices, and committee presentations. And here I'd like to give a special thank you to the steering committee members for always spreading the word about the plan, and also to Highway City Community Development, who helped us a lot in coordinating, hosting, and sharing information. So if outreach is trying to get the word out, then engagement could be trying to get the word in. So we had many opportunities to hear directly from community members. This included 17 steering committee meetings, 20 community meetings, 8 tabling events, 14 committee presentations, 3 surveys, in addition to many, many emails and phone calls. The specific plan was shaped intensely by the feedback garnered from these engagement events. The original draft plan received over 30 comment letters with more than 150 discrete comments, requests, and questions, and we also received land use change requests. A majority of these comments and requests were incorporated into this latest version of the draft plan. The plan does have an associated environmental impact report, or EIR. And due to the changes to the land use map, we did recirculate the entire EIR last spring and received 8 new comment letters. The final EIR, which contains the responses to those letters, will be posted to the website soon, but we did make a few additional updates to the plan as a result of these letters. The EIR analyzed 15 potential areas of impact and concluded significant and unavoidable impacts in 5 areas, which are bolded on your screen. In each area where there's a potential impact, mitigation measures are used to reduce the extent of those impacts. Finally, before I close, I want to share some exciting news. Normally, these plans don't get to work until after they're adopted, but this plan has actually already led to new resources being invested in this area. We received a $400,000 Measure C TOD planning grant to study Shaw Avenue from Golden State to Grantland. And this study is going to look at how transit-oriented mixed-use development can occur alongside the future expansion of 15-minute fax service along Shaw Avenue. The study will examine financial feasibilities. It will support development renderings and trail and streetscape designs. So this is just getting started, so please keep an eye out for it as it will become getting online this fall. FACS also received a $5 million grant from the state of California to create new pedestrian and bicycling infrastructure in the West area, especially around schools. There's also a very unique bicycle rack design contest that will create a new, unique design for the area. And this project is going on now with the support of Highway City Community Development and other agency partners. So that brings us to next steps. I'd like to invite those of you who are interested and those of you who have to be here to save the date for the Planning Commission and City Council hearings. Planning Commission will be on Wednesday, October 1st at 6 p.m. or thereafter, and the council meeting will be on Thursday, October 16th at 10 a.m. or thereafter, and both will be here in council chambers. And if you'd like more information, we have a website that is www.fresno.gov/West Area Plan. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and look forward to hearing if you have any comments or questions.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, comments? Go ahead.
All right, so first of all, this is an exciting opportunity for Fresno. You know, when we talk about One Fresno Vision, so West Area Neighborhood Pacific Plan. In fact, I had the honor to serve on that plan for many, many years. And I remember back in it has been so long. So when this plan came about, when this plan was born, and the survey was sent, there was so much community involvement in that area. I even heard comments from her at that time when we had the council members, sharing with me, like, this is like the first time they have seen that much response from the community. Because in that area, there is a slogan that people still use, Forgotten Fresno. On that, west of 99 people they still feel to this day that they have been forgotten. I think with the West Area Neighborhood Pacific Plan coming about, I think it's gonna come in with the vision of One Fresno Love. So this is really, really exciting. I am anticipating a lot of community members will show up to our meeting. They will also show up to the council meeting when this come about. Because people have been asking, they're like, it has been so long. What happened to the plan? Because like you said earlier, in fact, I have been part of it. I sat there on that chair, on the steering committee chair, heard so many comments. Like, they were like, yeah, this is the county, this is the city. there's a school here, this and that, right? Heard it all. But the excitement of the community when we talk about uplifting a community, I think this plan does justice to Fresno. I think, and it's just very amazing, very exciting, and we just hope that our Fresno, it keeps on growing on the west side, east side, north side, south side. Just we got to keep on making Fresno beautiful. And I know I'm very familiar with the funds. In fact, I try to attend a lot of meetings. I try to be involved with my community, especially with the Safe Streets. I know with that grant, they were able to get some hawk lights because it's very, because the problem is we have incentives. This plan is a Central Unified School District, and the whole structure is like you'll have a little bit of county, then you'll have a city, then you'll have a county island, then you'll have a city island. It's like all like mixed up. Very poor planning. Whoever planned this long time ago, man, it was a very poorly planned. I think with this plan, we are correcting the mistakes from history. So coming back to the hawk system, so now even the children, they'll be able to cross the streets easily. There are sidewalks for the children. I mean, literally, children, they have to walk on dirt. I see them walking on dirt, especially when it's raining. They are walking in the water. And then every time I drive by, I'm like, man, you know what? We can do better. Our children deserve better. So we're very excited. The community is very excited. And this is amazing. So thank you. What an amazing presentation. And I know you have worked very hard with this, so thank you.
Commissioner Diaz?
Yes, Tracy, great presentation, thank you. If I can get a copy, or we can get a copy of the presentation that you gave, it would be amazing. But I do have a question. Mm-hmm. I vaguely remember I was part of that process as well, Southwest Fresno. If I remember correctly, those $70 million that came in were for Southwest Fresno,
Yes.
which meant from Olive South and also Chinatown, if I remember correctly. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, so that was a different specific plan. That was the Southwest Fresno specific plan. And the TCC dollars, you're correct, that went into the Chinatown and Southwest Fresno areas. And what I mentioned about it earlier in the presentation is that the plan helped for the city to be able to receive those funds. And that underscores the importance and benefits of the specific plan process. And hopefully it's something that this plan will be able to replicate in the future as well, and bringing more dollars here.
Exciting. Thank you.
Anita, go ahead.
This plan has been a long time coming. Yes. I just have one little question, and that's how it integrates with the Highway City specific plan. So that's the one that I was kind of involved in another lifetime.
That's amazing. Yes. So part of this plan will repeal part of the Highway City specific plan, but only the part that it overlaps. So the Highway City specific plan does cross on both sides of 99, whereas this plan, the boundary is 99. So the part to the east will remain in place, and that's very important with Forestier Underground Gardens and some of the existing uses there. And what I've tried to do with this plan is take some of the policies that are still relevant today, because that plan it's a little older, and carry them forward into this plan. So that way there's some continuity between the two. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
So my question is, please, with this plan, will this bring even more dollars to our city? Especially investments, from state, from developers. So what kind of changes are we looking at with this plan, and that would benefit the community? at large?
So I can't claim to be the expert or guarantee that dollars will immediately start flowing to us, but I think that there is evidence of it being able to do that in the 2 grants that we've received so far with the Measure C TOD and the STEP grant from the state. The STEP grant's pretty significant. That's $5 million. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah, because I actually, I'm not an expert at reading reports, as much I can read. I know with a lot of that side has a lot of pollution problem. I forgot that there's a specific name for it. I'm sorry, I forgot. Even the governor's office, state of California has said that side, that particular west of 99 side, has a lot of pollution as well. So I think with that, we should be getting even more dollars to making sure we have more greenery, more park space, because the parks on that side are very crowded too. I mean, it's just, like I said, the planning, whoever planned this did a very poor job. It seems like west of 99 is like a stepchild of Fresno. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but it just felt like that. Like they were like, man, whatever, we'll give you the leftovers. But I think the time has changed with the community voice. And I think it is needed as well to uplift, like I said, every side of Fresno, west side, east side, north side, south side. So this is like super excited. I'm actually looking forward to what public has to say about this. Thank you.
Same. Yeah, me as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
and we'll see you here on October 1st.
Thank you. Reports from the secretary.
So you've got a nice little preview. Hopefully that'll encourage you to read the plan and be here on the 1st. Additionally, you'll be adopting those bylaws that you just heard the first reading of tonight. So please be aware the next few meetings will have a lot. We're hoping to bring Tower later this fall. So a lot of specific planning coming to the commission. Planning is a great tool to create vision and to encourage development, but it doesn't guarantee development, right? So development occurs where the market demands it. And so it's really important to ensure that we're not raising unachievable expectations to the community that we're going to magically look like something that's in a plan, right? So a plan is a great tool, and it is really helpful to have very specific goals, fiscal realities of what it's going to cost to implement and what development will have to pay to make sure that the infrastructure is there, those sidewalks, the water and sewer, et cetera. So I just want to make sure that we temper our excitement about pretty pictures with a little bit of reality, right? So specific plans are great, but we don't control who develops where and what the market desires. And again, so October 1st is West Area Neighborhood Specific Plan. We hope Tower will be later in the fall. And then there are some additional projects coming later this fall. So just keep the Planning Commission meetings on your agendas, on our calendars, and make sure to let our staff know if you're going to attend so they can make sure that there's a quorum. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Do we have any on-schedule oral communications? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Diane Smith, and I live in West Fresno. And my question is, the area is divided into 4 areas, south, east, west, north, and I'm trying to figure out how that became west. The area that they were just talking about, how did that become west when there is a west part of Fresno already? Unless the city is basically determining that West Fresno that has existed for years is no longer going to exist.
Okay. Do you have any other questions before?
I want to answer.
Yeah, it's fine. What I'll do is, once you get done speaking, then I'll let
And I
staff
want to know
address
about
it.
the parking situation that they were talking about earlier. Does somebody actually dream those things up? Because I don't know if any of you have tried to go to, say, around the Bullard, Fresno area, and all the dentist office and other medical things that are there, and with the expansion of the surgical center, parking out there is horrendous. You can't get a park to see your doctor or your dentist without having to park, hopefully, on a side street within at least, a block and a half away. So the dreams of all this parking that they're talking about doesn't make any sense. You're narrowing the roads. You're telling us where we can and cannot park. It used to be that Fresno had a plan that when a new building came up or when you were enlarging, there had to be enough parking to accommodate the people coming. That isn't happening anymore. I have seen seniors have to be brought in a vehicle, taken out of a wheelchair, and then rolled in, and then the person bringing them have to find another park somewhere else farther away, unless they're going to push somebody in a wheelchair because there's not enough handicap parking also. So those are the questions that I want answered, and I'd like some answers today. Because what you're saying, it doesn't make any sense. But specifically, I want to know why West Fresno is no longer west, and it's clear across town.
Thank you. Appreciate
You
it.
going to answer it?
I will. Once you have a seat, then I'll let staff address it. Thank you. Were you able to?
Let's finish our unscheduled communication, and then we'll ask staff to come up and address the questions that were asked.
Sounds good. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, miss.
All right, my name is Yvonne Gordon, and I stay on the west side. What I can't understand is when she mentioned put a Southwest Fresno Pacific plan, they got a grant. When they put out a grant for Southwest Pacific plan, they showing them Southwest Fresno, that area. They getting grant for that area. But when they get the money, it going another area. Now, over on the west side where I stay, they putting houses over there by Hyde Park, which is a dump. Now, that's a dump over there. Now, why you want to put some houses, putting people over there, knowing that it's surrounded by a dump? Now, that don't make no sense. There's suicide cancer. They ain't did no type of soil testing or nothing. But you got all these houses surrounded by Hyde Park, and they know it's a dump. And then you're going to you're talking about the Stern Committee. You're talking about 22 people making choices for thousands of people on the west side. The Stern Committee do not talk for us. I want y'all to know that. And we don't get any invitation of the people on the west side have any notices about these meetings. And if they knew anything about y'all using Southwest Fresno to get grants to take it somewhere else, you won't be getting that money. And they know that. And we're sick and tired of it. We're sick and tired of y'all using us. And then you want to turn around, you want to take the west side, you got Megan cores you're going to put in there to wipe us out. So nobody talking about that. So that's why you don't want to talk about the west side, because in your minds and eyes, there ain't going to be no west side. But you know you got thousands of people stay over there. I stay over there. And I'm going to let you know, ain't nobody going to come over there and take my home to use the west side for a playground. We're tired of it. And trying to need to know about it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Brunette, and I live in Southwest Fresno. Like we said, this doesn't make any sense. We continue to tell you guys there hasn't been no community meetings. These plans, just like they had up there in the 1980s, 1969, you adopting stuff from back then. And then gonna tell us that we had something to do with it. We ain't had nothing to do with it. You're taking funds, once again, like she said, from our area, building up the Tower District, which is part of District 3, and then they get to have their own specific plan. How do you do that? That doesn't make any sense. We're tired of it. You guys sitting up here just like you, talking about what you like and what you enjoy seeing. You ain't asked Southwest Fresno nothing. And the lie that keep being told is that we have been part of these meetings, and we have not as a community. You're talking about the steering committee. You're talking about whoever this lady is, with whatever you guys got going. We don't have anything to do with it. Jennifer sits there. Once we sit down and have things to say, we can't say anything. 3 minutes, this is something that the Planning Commission, this is your rules and regulation about 3 minutes. But you allow developers to talk about what they're going to do for us, and we don't have anything to say. You're pulling us down to 3 minutes. We're tired of it. We are going to address Trump in Washington, D.C. We don't care if you don't get any more funds for any district. You're planning on wiping our community out. We're not going to have it. If we go, everybody go. We're tired of it. We could care less. Jennifer sits there, everybody else sits there, talk about our area. We're in Southwest Fresno. Now what you're doing is merging everybody with us so you take our funds. You've been doing it for years. Then when you come back with your own plan, these are your plans. It's not our plans. You take 2 Magna Cores and put it together. They have to be connected into downtown. You're taking us out. You have to widen those streets. Our homes sit up on those streets. You're building stuff in toxic site, on toxic dumps. You haven't told those men yet that when they went and dug up behind Hyatt Park, that they dug up pollution. Not only pollution, you guys are killing our area. We talked to Jennifer, she's talking about calling you guys when you see something, let us know. You don't even come out. We don't even get the police out till the next day. This doesn't make any sense. We're tired of it. And we mean what we say. We intending to let the federal government know. You're receiving federal funds and you think it's a joke. It's not a joke for us. It doesn't make any sense. And we're tired of it.
Thank you. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, miss.
My name is Bobby Parks. I can only echo what they've said. But one thing that you know and you should understand. I heard the gentleman there say how excited and he have attended so many meetings. But do you live in West Fresno? Okay, where do you live?
We'll go ahead and you can just address it to all of us.
No. I don't mean an address or anything. I just want to know, do you live in West Fresno?
He can go ahead and answer that after you get done speaking. It's not a problem.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking that question is because when you say you're excited and that you know that it's going to be all this beauty and everything is going to be beneficial and everybody's going to enjoy it. If you have not lived, if you have not understood, what they have been saying also is that in 1962 up until this present time, I am very familiar with West Fresno, very familiar. And I can say that West Fresno were very, very prosperous community. But when they began to genocide, blight, everything was purposely done. When they said that you have taken monies, it's like somebody just robbing everything you have ever worked hard for. Everything. But they don't care. It's when somebody come in and takes something out of your home or your business and that you have spent so much time. But see, karma has its own time too. Karma is something that nobody controls because this is the universe. And the land and the struggle that so many people have had, karma does be just. You cannot destroy and take from people. and think that you will not have to suffer the consequences.
Thank you. All right, so got a couple of questions on here. First question is the reasoning why West Fresno gets split between
Chair,
Southwest.
absolutely. So before we get in, just a refresher on your orders of business, right? Unscheduled oral communication is addressed to the chair and not to individual members of the Planning Commission, to the chair. If the chair would like specific questions or information provided, staff is happy to do that. It is not a requirement of the chair to ask for that information. So I just wanted to do that. So if there's specific things that you would like staff to answer, we are happy to do that.
Yeah, so the key question that I would want them to understand, or for us to address tonight, is just going to be the separation between West Fresno, Southwest, West Fresno. And then the other questions that they do have, I mean, I would want you guys to contact the city, just speak to them. Because, I mean, a lot of these issues are going to be a lot more detail, where you're going to probably spend a lot more time, okay? I mean, reach out to Jennifer, reach out to one of the staff right here, okay? And you guys have to remember, too, is, like, I appreciate you guys being very passionate about your area, right? Like, I grew up in the McLean area, too. So, you know, I grew up on food stamps back in the days when food stamps was actually a paper form, okay? So I understand the struggle, right? So I appreciate you guys being very passionate, but you guys have to understand that these people who work here, we all have good intentions. It's not like we're trying to destroy different areas too. We have children. A lot of us have children. We have grandkids here too. So we want to make sure that we leave a good legacy for our future too, okay? But let's go ahead and address that one question, and if we can, just exchange contact information too.
Sophia, if you can talk about the specific planning areas as how they're defined.
Yes, thank you, Director and Chair Vang, members of the Planning Commission. Sophia Pagalatis with Long Range Planning. And we do have plan naming conventions that need to be carefully understood. So Southwest Fresno, the Southwest Fresno specific plan encompasses an area that is west of 99 and 41 and south of Highway 180. Whereas, and that specific plan, which we highlighted as an example of a successful specific plan, was adopted in 2017. This plan is called the West Area Neighborhood Specific Plan, and it is a sequel to an earlier plan called the West Area Community Plan. And the geography that we're talking about here is from Clinton Avenue north all the way to Bullard, with Garfield as the western boundary and with Highway 99 as the eastern boundary. So both the West Area Neighborhood Specific Plan and the Southwest Specific Plan are both west of 99, but the West Area Neighborhoods Specific Plan is north of Clinton. The Southwest Fresno Specific Plan is south of the 180.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
So typically, going back to your agenda and your rules and procedures, I would say the best thing to do is if there are things that you would like for staff to come back with a presentation at the next meeting or to provide in a written report to the commission, that we can do that.
Let's go ahead and do that, okay? It's currently 7:15, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.